I can't express my love for Lynn-Rose enough.
I spoke with Asia Rosa, who graduated from Lynn-Rose Heights in 2014. Upon graduating, Asia attended an arts high school, but decided to pursue a mathematics degree at Waterloo for post-secondary, which was her favorite subject during her time at Lynn-Rose Heights. The school's individualized advanced math program helped Asia get ahead and expertly prepare for university. And so I'm curious if you think your high school influenced your choice of university or area of study.
Uh, yeah, I think it did. Well, when I was in Lynn-Rose Heights, that was kind of the reason I decided to go to an arts high school, because every year they would put on a school play every single year, and I would always be in it. I was lucky to be in the main cast a few times, and it was one of the greatest experiences that I ever had. And from there, I just decided, well, I really like this. I'm really passionate about it. I'll go to high school for it. And I still really am. But when I went to high school and I got to do that as a major, I think I decided I wanted a different kind of degree, not an arts degree. I wanted something else to back that up. So I'm still pursuing and still having fun in the arts community, but also pursuing a different degree at the same time.
And so I'm curious, if you were to create a resume listing all of your experience at the school, all of your accomplishments, and all of your interests, what would that look like?
Probably the top of my list would be graduated one of the top of my class, especially in terms of academics. The teachers really helped me out with that. I joined a few clubs while I was there. They had like a robotics club. I would definitely put my accomplishments in the school plays down. What else? There were fundraisers. I just can't remember the names of them.
That's okay.
There was like the Terry Fox run that we did all the time. Extracurriculars. Lynn-Rose is the reason I learned to swim. I was so stubborn when I was younger and I would not swim, but they take you to classes every single year, and I think martial arts, swimming, gymnastics. I loved the gymnastics class, but they're probably the reason I am able to float without a life jacket.
Yeah. And what was your favorite subject, would you say?
100% math.
Yeah.
When I was in grade 6, so what they did at the school, at least when I was there, they do math a year ahead of what your actual year is. So let's say you're in grade 3, you would be doing grade 4 mathematics. That being said, they do it based on the individual. So if they see a student is struggling at that level, they'll put them back into the same grade level of math. Or if the student is in that year ahead and they're still finding it easy, straightforward, they'll put them ahead another year. That was the case with me. We started doing, the reason they put me ahead was when we started doing exams. They start you doing exams in grade 5. Sorry, my watch.
No, it's okay.
But I got a 98% on my mathematics exam, and they said, okay, so let's put her up a level. And starting in grade 6, I was doing grade 8 math. And I think that's the reason that I really fell in love with it, because I was constantly being challenged.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think the benefit is for everyone to be challenged in that way and be put into an advanced math class?
Well, I think just in general for kids, if a kid's bored, they're not going to learn. They're not going to want to learn. So that was a case, let's say when I was in grade 6, they saw that I was really coasting through the class, so they put me up, and I was constantly applying myself. That, like, it was, I'm trying to find the words for it. Being challenged not only helps you participate, which helps you absorb more information, but it also just gives you a sense of accomplishment as well. And as a kid, that can help be a really big motivator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Interesting. And what would you say is your proudest memory at the school?
So they give an award out every single year. I forget the name of the award, but it was a student that previously went to Lynn-Rose.
Mm.
And she was known for being incredibly kind, incredibly giving, very talented intellectually, but she had a heart condition which she passed away from. So every year in her honor, they give this award to the student that most represents what she represented. And in grade 8, I received that award, and I think that was by far my greatest accomplishment. I was so honored to receive that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. And I think it's very nice that the school still honors her and does that. I think it shows the integrity of the school. They care about their students even after they're gone, which, like, even I'm still in contact with some of my favorite teachers from that school, with the principal. Like, you don't lose those relationships.
And I'm curious, what's the sort of atmosphere in the school, if you can summarize that?
Very caring, very driven. They put their students first, and you can feel that as soon as you walk into the school.
Mm.
I always felt supported, especially when I was younger, that they were it's very much like a family. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I am a type 1 diabetic, and I was diagnosed when I was 4. And one of the things at that school, it helped me and my mother, who was taking care of me, a lot, because they would constantly watch over me, make sure that my blood sugar wasn't dropping, or if I needed insulin, or if I was in gym class and I started acting funny, they would constantly check on me. So there's just such a sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're more than just, looking after you academically. They're involved, personally. And
yeah, I think because one of the better things about going to that school, which I now compare to other people who have had public school experience, the smaller class size really does make a difference. I can't even remember the size of my classes. Maybe 14 to 16 kids, I want to say. I don't remember.
mm-hmm.
But it gives you that attention that you need, and it helps you build the relationships that you need to build.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the transition like, going from a school that, you're with 14 or 16 people in your class? What's the transition like going into, a high school or university where the classes, are bigger?
Transition was difficult. Not difficult, surprising. When you're used to those small class sizes and getting that level of attention, and then you go to, say, a high school where you have bigger class sizes and it's not so focused on the individual student, it is a change. That being said, I adapted pretty well. They kind of prepare you for that in the last couple of years, letting you know what it's going to be like. And you can always take the initiative to reach out to your teachers after as well. High school to university was the biggest change for me by far, because you go from like a regular sized classroom of like, I don't know, 20 to 30 students. I don't know how many are in a high school class, to lectures of students that are 100 plus.
Yeah.
Like you only go up to your prof if you have a question at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, was the biggest change and biggest challenge.
Now, were there things that you learned at Lynn-Rose that on the other hand helped you adapt to university life, or like, habits that you made, or mentality?
The study habits that I learned at Lynn-Rose helped a lot, even in high school. Going from grade 8 to grade 9 was really easy in that sense, because we started doing, for example, exams in grade 5. So we had already gotten used to that mentality of studying and doing a culminative exam. Other students in my grade, when I was in grade 9, had such a challenge with that because they'd never been faced with anything like that before. So I think that definitely gave me a leg up. And in university, it's very different, the techniques of study that you have to use. And they teach that very early on in Lynn-Rose, like how, in terms of their teaching style and encouraging you to take notes and so on and so forth. Like I remember my grade 5 teacher telling me, okay, well, write down this because this will be important. Make sure you take good notes on that. It's been grilled or trained into you from a very young age. So by the time you get to university, you're used to it.
Yeah. And if you can remember, way back to when you started Lynn-Rose, how did are you aware of how you found the school? How did you choose that school? What did you know before attending that school?
So that was all my mother.
Yeah.
That was the big, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't quite remember what.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a process where she met people, she went around the school, saw what it was like. And I think that was a big factor because when you get to meet the staff, meet the people, you can kind of tell what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main reason that I changed was because that was the year I was diagnosed with diabetes. So she wanted a school where I could be more cared for, more individual attention. That was one of the main reasons that she chose Lynn-Rose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm curious if you can elaborate more on them, helping care for you at a young age. Like, was it the teachers that were really involved or, other staff? Or...
It was the teachers. It was the front desk administrator. It was even the principal I would have meetings with, and she'd say, how are you doing? How is everything? How can we further help? But they would remind me to check my blood sugar. They would keep an eye on me when I was doing physical activity. And I remember my mother would actually come to lunch every single day to help me give my medication because I was too young to do it myself. And especially when I started becoming more independent and doing it by myself, that's when they really stepped up. That was in grade 4, and it was an entirely new level of care and awareness on their part. When we would do plays at Lynn-Rose Heights, they would always have my care package backstage in case anything were to happen to me while I was on stage or I started to feel low. I think what you can take from that, they care first about your well-being over anything else.
And what about your peers at the school? I mean, what are they like? What's a typical student like?
Well, I mean, you always get your mix, of people. It's pretty much like any other school in that way. I'm still friends with a lot of people from that school, especially the ones that are there from SK to grade 8. You grow up with them. They're part of your learning and development. The majority of the kids at that school are very driven, they always find something that they like or are passionate at. They might not be the most intelligent in math, but you put them into, say, one of the sports things or sports clubs at the school, and that's where they really excel. They always find something, I found. There was not one person that seemed to drift. Everyone seemed to have something that they really loved. It helps bring a level of passion to the school. It helps just bring that overall sense of, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
No, that's okay. Like drive or motivation.
Yeah. Everyone feels motivated. Everyone seems like they can help each other along. That's another thing. If you were struggling with something, the kids are as helpful as the teachers. You always have someone that you can lean on, a friend that can help you out, the best friend that you sit with in class. And it's really it was one of the best experiences. I still talk with so many of them today. Yeah.
That's nice. And I'm curious how Lynn-Rose helped you realize, that passion.
Well, I think when they put me ahead, that's when I really realized my passion. So I did, obviously, in grade 6, I went to grade 8 math, and then so on from there. So by the time I got to high school, I was already advanced. I finished my math courses for high school by the time I was in grade 10. And then I started exploring other aspects from that. I started joining finance clubs and business clubs and just branching off from that. So I think that base foundation really, really helped in that sense.
Yeah. And if you had to pick one thing, what would you say you appreciated most about about your time at Lynn-Rose Heights?
Oh, just one?
Maybe the follow-up will be more than one, but you can start with one.
I don't know if this kind of ties in as one thing, but their ability to keep up with the times. So I remember in, say, SK or grade 1 when we were using chalkboards and whiteboards, and as soon as smart boards started to come in, immediately they were installed. As soon as MacBooks started becoming popular, we immediately had a MacBook lab installed. They wanted to make sure you were as updated on what was consistently being introduced into the world. They wanted to make sure that you were having the best and most updated experience, which I think is incredible, absolutely incredible.
And why do you think that's important for education?
Well, it's the same as anything. You want to make sure you're getting the newest, the most relevant information that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lynn-Rose really prides itself in doing that. I know, for instance, at their high school that they opened up, they have like green screen rooms and things like that. I never got a chance to go to the high school because that was a little past by the time I had graduated, but it gives you so many more opportunities. If you look at someone else who maybe didn't get to see that until a few years later after it was introduced, you have that leg up, you have that advantage, you have that skill that maybe some of your peers don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look back at the school as objectively as possible. What do you think most differentiates the school from, other similar private schools?
Well, then again, I don't exactly know what other private schools are like, but I really want to go back to that point of caring about the well-being of students. I know I've said that, but I think I honestly have never gotten that level of care from anywhere else. And I think that is one of the most important things that they could have given you or given me. It's a sense of community. You don't just feel like you're going to a school. It feels like a family and you feel cared for. You can trust your teachers, you can trust your peers. And yeah, sure, everything's advanced. They give you plenty of opportunities. But I think when you're choosing somewhere to go, you want to have that sense of safeness and security. And Lynn-Rose does provide that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And is there maybe like a program, an initiative, an extracurricular that you think is like completely unique to the school?
They introduced IB in the grades 7 and 8 when I was graduating. So that was fairly new to me and I loved that, but that's...
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And a bit of a creative question. If Lynn-Rose were to be personified, so if you would see the school as a person, what are maybe 3 adjectives you would use to describe that person?
Ooh. Oh, I like this question. Let me see. Incredibly caring, intelligent, and ahead of its time, or ahead of his or her time.
Yeah, nice, cool. And yeah, I feel like, you justified all those adjectives previously. And what would you say is the school's like highest values? Like what do they stand for?
When you see Lynn-Rose and you see its crest, the 3 things that they stand for, I forget what it is. I think it's, and I completely back them. It's strength, wisdom, and integrity. And I think when they chose those adjectives, they chose them well. I think school completely personifies and represents all of those traits.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think families would find surprising about Lynn-Rose? Like, there's obviously a lot of information available to them online. They can go visit the school, but actually enrolling and being there, what would you say would surprise people most?
I would say, now that I'm thinking back on the school, I'm remembering so many things that I previously forgot. But the level of engagement as a family you can have in that school. They used to have things like pasta nights where families would come. We had Café Francophone where in our French classes, we would actually create this cafe, and we would serve croissants and we would serve tea, but we would have to be servers to our parents entirely in French. And just that level of engagement, being able to see what your kids are doing. Parents can volunteer on school trips and such like that. So my mom would always volunteer and help out, and she loved that. I would just say the fact that you can engage and be part of your child's education in that way, or see them in that way, is really cool. Yeah. And I think that would be surprising, because not a lot of places do that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that's definitely a bonus for a lot of families. And I'm curious, do you think Lynn-Rose shaped who you are as a person? Not just academically, but as a well-rounded person, and how?
100% yes. Being there from SK to grade 8, I spent basically my entire childhood before my teens there, and that's where a lot of your development comes in. So yeah, I think it gave me a sense of drive. I think it taught me compassion. It just gave me a sense of determination that I don't think I had before. And not saying that I wasn't a determined kid, but they really brought that part out in me. Mm-hmm. And it also really helped my social skills develop. I was a very quiet kid when I was younger, and being engaged not only with the students, but with the teachers. For example, I remember at lunches, whenever I didn't want to go out, I would stay in with one of the school administrators and help her out with things. And that was something that I loved. And just, it really helped me develop socially. And I thank them enough for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And now, not every school is perfect. So I'm curious if there is one thing that maybe you would change about the school, or maybe something in your own experience that you would change.
This is where I come back to one thing. I loved the small class sizes, but in a sense, it was also a detriment when transitioning. Not saying that, increase the class sizes, but it's one of those things that's almost a double-edged sword, I would say.
I'm curious about the class sizes. Would you say that the benefits of having the small class sizes outweighs the negative aspect of it?
Definitely. It definitely outweighs it, but there still is that sense of having to adjust, which could be seen as a negative. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it definitely outweighs 100%. Honestly, other than that, I was trying so hard, but I wouldn't change really any other aspect of my experience. Even when we would take music classes, for instance, I was already playing advanced violin when I was younger, so I would always step out of my music classes and play violin in a separate room so I could have that extra time to practice. Just, they have such a level of care and observation of students. I can't complain about the way they did anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good position to be in.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Now I'm wondering how your perspective on the school has changed over the years, now that you do have some separation from it. So since graduating, have you come to appreciate the school more, certain aspects more? How has your perspective changed?
Well, when you're in school, obviously as a kid, you don't realize the level of quality of education that you're getting. And I think once I entered the public school system in high school, it really gave me a change of perspective, especially in the fact that I came to appreciate it more. I came to appreciate the level of care that the teachers gave, that your teachers still care for you in high school, but on a different level. You definitely get more of a, I wish I would have appreciated this more. I wish I would have done this more while I was at school, as soon as you see what the other side, or what the flip side is like.
Exactly. Yeah. And just bringing things to a close, do you recommend that students enroll in Lynn-Rose? And what are the three biggest reasons why someone should choose the school?
Yes, I really do recommend that kids enroll. The first reason, you're not going to get that quality of care or interest in your kids' lives anywhere else. Second, I really noticed as soon as I got into high school that I did have a very high leg up over all of my peers. And that's something I've really come to appreciate now. And third, I don't think you're going to get that kind of experience, the amount of opportunity anywhere else. I had the opportunity we went apple picking, we would go swimming, martial arts, gymnastics, and they're constantly evolving what they're bringing into that school. So it's something that you're not going to get at another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what advice would you have for a student who's just about to enter the school? How can they take advantage of the school the best way?
Come in with an open mind. I mean, I guess it's really the same as if you're going into any other school, but be willing to try things that you didn't think you would be initially good at, because obviously your skills evolve, you find new passions. That's the way I found several of my passions at that school. Enjoy it. Honestly, just enjoy it, because I miss it so much. So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And I guess last question, I'm just curious, what's sort of next for you? You mentioned you're in third year?
I'm going into third year.
Okay, going into third year mathematics. And so what are you hoping to do? And I'm curious how you mentioned that you're still kind of involved in the arts. How do you, what's that involvement like, and what are you planning for the future?
So my goal is obviously to graduate with my mathematics degree. Where I plan to go with that, I'm actually an actuarial major within that degree. So I'm trying to become an actuary, either working maybe in investments or statistics, something along those lines. And as for my performance, I still keep at that. There's plenty of choirs here. I still do part-time jobs and gigs as a performer, which I still enjoy. So it plays in that sense. But yeah, I think the next few years is just a sense of exploration, finding where I want to go within that. But I know for sure it'll be something probably in the finance area.
Mm-hmm. And what values are you taking with you that you learned at Lynn-Rose into the future?
Perseverance. I think that was something that you learned at Lynn-Rose, but it really came in when I was in first year, because you really do have to persevere. That shift from high school to university, it can be tough, and persevering, continuing through, even though it's hard, really, really was key to where I am right now. Study hard, obviously. Taking good notes, that's another thing I took. Communicating well with professors, that's helped me out a lot. And also just enjoying, taking advantage of the extracurricular activities that are offered at the university, because some people focus so much on their degree that they often forget the advantage of taking those extracurriculars and developing those skills. I think that's something Lynn-Rose really digs into you as well.